Imagine if the United States spoke Portuguese instead of English. A seemingly simple shift, yet one that would have profound implications on the soul of the nation. The language we speak shapes not only our communication, but also our thoughts, our expressions, and our understanding of the world. If Portuguese was the official language of the US, a different cultural landscape would emerge, one steeped in the rich and vibrant heritage of the Portuguese-speaking world. American literature, for instance, would take on a different hue. Picture works of literature like The Great Gatsby or To Kill a Mockingbird, written in beautiful, expressive Portuguese, reflecting a different social fabric. The rhythm and cadence of Portuguese might lend a unique flavor to American poetry and prose, producing distinctly different literary masterpieces. Music, an integral part of any culture, would also be significantly influenced. The soulful strains of fado, the traditional music genre of Portugal, could have become as American as the blues or jazz. Imagine the Billboard charts featuring songs in Portuguese, and the Grammy Awards recognizing artists who express their creativity through this romantic language. Art, too, would be impacted. The vibrant colors and bold strokes of Portuguese painters and sculptors could have found their way into American art, creating a blend of New World audacity and Old World charm. And then there's the influence of Portuguese festivals and traditions. From the colorful Carnival of Madeira to the solemn Holy Week processions, these events could have become integral parts of American culture. Holidays like Dia de São Martinho, with its roasted chestnuts and new wine, might have been as eagerly anticipated as Thanksgiving. Finally, let's consider the national identity. The American dream might have taken on a slightly different shade, shaped by the Portuguese spirit of saudade, a complex emotion that combines nostalgia, longing, and hope. The cultural tapestry of the US would have been woven with different threads, each thread representing a facet of Portuguese culture, intertwining with the unique elements of America, creating a rich, vibrant, and diverse tapestry. A tapestry that we can only imagine, but one that surely would have been a sight to behold. Envision a legal system in the US founded on Roman principles. Now imagine a world where the cornerstone of American law and politics is not the English common law, but the Roman civil law, a system deeply entrenched in Portuguese jurisprudence. In this alternate realm, the US legal structure would be built on a comprehensive written code, an intricate mosaic of statutes, meticulously detailed, leaving little room for judicial interpretation. This system, with its roots in the ancient world, could have drastically changed the course of American legal history. Instead of the case law system where precedents play an integral role in shaping the law, the American legal landscape would be a terrain marked by an exhaustive compilation of statutes, a codified law, where each rule is explicitly stated. The concept of rights and freedoms, too, would likely take on a different form. Under Roman law, civil liberties were not inherent but granted by the state. This contrasts with the English common law tradition that champions the idea of natural rights, rights not contingent on the laws, customs, or beliefs of any particular culture or government. The administration of justice, too, would bear the Roman imprint. The inquisitorial system, a hallmark of Roman law, places the judge in the driver's seat. Unlike the adversarial system, where opposing parties present their case before a neutral judge, in the inquisitorial system, the judge actively investigates the facts of the case. Imagine a political landscape shaped by such a legal system. The legislative process would be the beating heart of lawmaking with less emphasis on judicial review. The balance of power, the dynamics between the three branches of government, the very fabric of American democracy, could have been woven differently. However, this is not to say that one system is inherently superior to the other. Each has its strengths and weaknesses, its successes and failures. But it's intriguing to contemplate how different the American societal structure could have been, had its legal roots been planted in Roman soil. The pillars of American democracy may have been constructed differently. Consider an America where Catholicism is the prevailing religion. Picture a landscape dotted with ornate cathedrals, each a testament to the influence of the Portuguese colonizers. The church, an integral part of community life, would reverberate with the rhythm of the rosary, the melody of hymns, and the solemnity of the Mass. Imagine the potential influence of Catholicism on American morality and values. The Ten Commandments might form the cornerstone of ethical frameworks, impacting everything from legal codes to everyday interactions. The sanctity of life, the dignity of the human person, and the call to family and community could take center stage. Religious practices and holidays would likely look different too. Christmas, Easter, and All Saints' Day might be the highlights of the American calendar, celebrated with grandeur and reverence. Religion could have painted America's social fabric with different hues, weaving a tapestry rich in tradition, faith, and a deep sense of community. Ponder on the possible Portuguese approaches to the Native Americans. In this alternate history, the Portuguese, known for their maritime prowess and navigational skills, could have developed a different relationship with the Native Americans. Perhaps the Portuguese, with their history of establishing trading posts along coasts, might have been less inclined to push inland, lessening conflicts over territory. However, it's also possible that the Portuguese, driven by the same quest for wealth and resources that fueled all European colonizers, could have clashed with Native American tribes. The Portuguese colonizers in Brazil had a mixed record, sometimes coexisting with indigenous tribes, at other times enslaving them. Also consider the role of Catholicism. The Portuguese, deeply Catholic, might have sought to convert Native Americans more fervently than the Protestant English did, leading to cultural clashes. These are, of course, all hypotheticals. Yet, they serve to underscore how different colonizers could have shaped different destinies for Native Americans. The destiny of Native Americans could have followed a different path. Imagine if maritime trade was the backbone of the American economy. Picture a world where sea routes and naval power are the driving forces behind the nation's prosperity. Portuguese maritime traditions could have been pivotal in shaping such a reality. With a rich history of naval exploration and trade, it's conceivable that the Portuguese would have brought these practices to the New World. The Atlantic Ocean might have turned into a highway for goods, ideas, and people, leading to a boom in coastal cities as bustling trade hubs. From Boston to Miami, coastal cities could have thrived on the ebb and flow of maritime commerce. The economic fabric of the country might have been woven with threads of sea salt and ship sails. Internationally, this could have reshaped trade relations, placing the U.S. at the heart of a global maritime network. The ripple effects of this alternate economic reality are fascinating to contemplate. The economic currents of the U.S. might have flowed in different directions. Think about how Portugal's history could have shaped U.S.'s international alliances and rivalries. As a nation with a storied maritime legacy, Portugal's hypothetical colonization of the United States could have led to a different set of international relationships. Portugal, unlike England, maintained amicable relations with various global powers, which could have translated into the U.S. having a more diverse set of allies. The U.S. might have fostered closer ties with Latin America, given Portugal's historical connections with these regions. The dynamics of global conflicts could have also been altered. Imagine a world where the U.S. might not have engaged in certain wars, or perhaps taken a different stance in global diplomatic affairs. Consider the impact on the Cold War. With Portugal's non-aligned stance during this era, the U.S. might have adopted a more neutral position, potentially transforming the landscape of international politics. The global stage may have been set differently for the U.S. Indeed, the ripples of a Portuguese colonial past could have resulted in a dramatically different world. What if the struggle for American independence had different leaders and motivations? Let's step into the world of what-ifs for a moment and imagine an independence struggle under Portuguese rule. The leaders could have been entirely different characters, perhaps a charismatic seafarer or a persuasive priest. Their motivations might have been shaped by a distinct set of cultural, religious, and socio-political factors. Maybe they'd rally for freedom from the Portuguese monarchy, desiring to establish a republic rooted in maritime traditions. The outcomes could have been a fascinating divergence from the history we know. Independence might have been achieved through diplomatic negotiations rather than a full-blown revolution. Perhaps the new nation's constitution would reflect a blend of Portuguese civil law and indigenous customs. However, one thing remains constant no matter the scenario: the indomitable spirit of those who yearn for freedom. The fight for freedom might have been fought under a different banner. Visualize a different westward expansion under Portuguese rule. Picture a different manifest destiny not defined by the English-speaking settlers, but by the Portuguese pioneers. Drive to push westward would have been influenced by Portugal's maritime traditions and desire for exploration. Imagine the borders of the United States, not as they stand today, but redrawn through the lens of Portuguese territorial acquisition. The borders might have stretched differently, possibly even further, driven by Portugal's historical ambition for expansion and global footprint. The shape of individual states could have been influenced by Portuguese administrative divisions, leading to a fundamentally different political landscape. Interactions with neighboring countries would have been shaped by Portugal's diplomatic relations. Allies might have become adversaries and vice versa, influencing the geopolitics of the region. The map of the US could have been drawn with different lines. It's a fascinating exercise to reimagine the world around us, shaped by different hands and different events. Remember, these are but speculations based on historical conjectures. Let's take a moment to reflect on our journey through an alternate history. Imagine, instead of English, the United States speaking Portuguese, a rich tapestry of culture, art, and identity interwoven with the threads of a different language. Consider a legal system rooted in Roman principles. How would this have influenced the laws, the justice administration, and the political development of the United States? What if Catholicism, not Protestantism, was the prevailing religion? The moral compass and fundamental values of the nation could have been significantly different. Think about the possible Portuguese approach to Native Americans. This could have dramatically influenced relationships with indigenous peoples, leading to a different development trajectory. Imagine a United States where maritime trade was central to the economy, thanks to Portuguese maritime traditions. This would have reshaped international trade relations. Consider the influence of Portugal's history on international alliances and rivalries. How would this have impacted U.S. global relations? Visualize a different struggle for independence. Who would be the leaders, and what would be the motivations behind such movements? And finally, picture a different border. How would westward expansion have unfolded under Portuguese rule? These conjectures illustrate the complex dynamics of history, where small changes can yield significantly different outcomes. Predicting exact outcomes is challenging, as historical development is influenced by a myriad of factors. This journey of imagination invites us to reflect on the power of history in shaping our world. It highlights how seemingly minor historical events can have a significant impact on our present and future. As we close this chapter of our alternate history exploration, we encourage you to think about these speculations and share your thoughts. History is a fascinating subject, full of possibilities and what-ifs. Join us in the next video as we continue to delve into the intriguing world of history, exploring different scenarios and sparking curiosity.